बैरागी बैरागी दुनिया के दस्तूर से दूर है तू, मेरे नैनों का सारा नूर है तू, मेरी सांस के हर मोड़ पे, सपनों के छोर पे, देख सिर्फ तेरे है निशान, ए बैरागी तेरी लागी लागी है बैरागी तेरी लागी लागी रे, लागी लागी रे, लागी रे. So this song is called Bairagi, and I've composed and sung this song. So thanks, Sapna, so much for having us on this platform.
Thank you so much, Samira, for being here. I'm just very excited to have this panel. For me, sound and music is everything. It's the reasons I've made both my films. My first film, Hindustan, started with the journey of Abida Parveen. When I found out she was a Sindhi Sufi singer, I knew I had to tell this story of Sindh. And my second film, Mera Kutta Bimar Hai, I also decided 64 minutes. I don't want any dialogues. I'm only going to use sound, and we're going to tell everything through sound. So coming with such a lovely influence of sound and music, I think this panel is really important. Also, a lot of us are confused because they think it's the same thing. Sound kya hai, music kya hai, are they the same, are they different? So this is a fabulous panel for you to find out the difference in sound and music, but how they still work together and they make a lovely piece, whether it's music, whether it's film, whether it's installation, any art project. I want to first start off. Who you heard right now was the lovely Samira Koppikar. She is a singer and a music composer. She's just a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous inspiration for us all. I think when I found out that she also just sang her first song in 2014. Is this correct, Samira? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Huh. So 2014, you sang your first song.
I missed.
Can you hear me now? You can hear me?
My first song, I'm losing you in between. Like I couldn't hear the bit in between. Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. I said you sang your first song in 2014. And I'm just finding that out. And before that, I mean, what got you into music was also because you were at this session with Gino Banks and Joe Alvarez, and they are your mentors, and they kind of pushed you into this profession. Is this correct?
So yeah, I think I think having mentors has been a blessing, and gurus, and I have I think been blessed with two grandmoms who were classical singers, but they never took it up as a career. But somehow I think I had the support of my parents, and also happened to meet Louis Banks at an event, and was fortunate to be mentored by him and Joe Alvarez, and landed up singing at the Montreal Jazz Festival, which was a brilliant platform to be able to explore that. And yes, eventually I felt the need to create my own music, have my own voice, tell my own stories, and that's how I started composing and singing.
Yeah, you are a perfect mix of, you have your own indie sort of music. You are a composer for commercial as well as indie. And at the same time, you also do playback. So this is just really, really fabulous. I will now go on to our next guest. Let's go with Bishi Bhattacharya. Hi, Bishi.
Hi.
I think that before I get into introducing you, Rishi, if you can play a little bit about Bishi, her clip, that would be really fabulous. Hi, how are you, Bishi? So nice to have you on our show.
Thank you so much. I'm based in London, for anyone who doesn't know, and I've been wanting to meet other my contemporaries who would be based in India and in South Asia. So to be here is a really big deal for me. We have the magic of online communication, but to be brought on a panel with such accomplished women who are based in South Asia, that's a really big deal for me.
Oh, it's a big deal for me to be able to kind of get everyone together to do this. But I also, besides the fact that you're a fabulous musician and a producer and a composer, and I heard you also learned the sitar. Is this correct?
Yes, yeah. I was a student of someone called Gaurav Mazumdar, who's one of Ravi Shankar's senior disciples.
Exactly. And you have 2 albums out, 5 EPs. And the most important thing, though, why I love it, is because you're a witch.
Yes.
It's like, a wench like me has just found like the perfect witch. And that I think is fabulous. Do you want to tell viewers what WITCH stands for and the reason behind it?
Sure. So WITCH is the Women in Technology Creative Industries Hub. And it's a platform that I founded to elevate the voices of women and non-binary in tech. There are a lot of polymaths, kind of music-based or visual arts-based, women who are polymaths who work with technology in a really creative way. And I started it out of necessity, really, because there were a lot of us with nowhere to go.
Fabulous. So with this, I'm going to introduce our next guest, Kini Rao. Hi, Kini. How are you? Welcome.
Hi.
Can you hear me? You can hear me? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And Movie Saints, please play Kini's clip, please. All right, so good to have you. I don't know if you guys know, but I know Kini since I don't know how many years, and she was like this little girl who had just come. Is this right, Kini, from Hyderabad?
Yes.
Yes.
Originally from Hyderabad.
Yeah, and we used to hang out at the same parties, and she was like this, this cool DJ, and I used to also dabble a little bit in my DJ days way back in the, I don't know, like some decades ago when Zenzi Mills was alive,
Yeah.
and then from there to see Kini grow, it's like I've been a part of her journey. She also did work on Sindhustan. So she and I have actually like kind of grown in this scene together. So I'm really, really proud to have you on the show, Kini. And with this, let me just introduce our next guest. Let's bring Samyuktha on, shall we?
Hi, Sapna.
Hi, Samyuktha. How are you?
Hello. Very good. Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
So good to have you on the show. Do we have a clip for you, Movie Saints? I think there's sound problems.
Bring me to her constellation, burning up so bright. How long is Fahrenheit? You're the one. You're the one. You're the one. Bring it on the fun time, throwing me a lifeline, just about the right time. She's my long time. You just gotta love her, love.
Wow, fabulous. So nice to have you on our show, Samyuktha.
Thank
Do you want to
you.
tell us a little bit about what you do? And I know you work a lot in ads and also in short films. So take the mic and tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, hi everyone. I'm Samyuktha. I'm a music composer, producer, and engineer. I've been working in the ad industry for about 5 years now, and before that, I worked as an audio engineer with Pradeep Sarkar. And yeah, I've been pretty much based in Mumbai since then. So,
Okay.
right,
I'm so glad to have you on the show. See, now everyone was at first when I called everyone except for Bishi and Samira, I didn't really talk to before that, but everyone was like, we're just really nervous. Just be very gentle with us. I was like, okay. I'm going to be really gentle with all of you. So it's so nice to have you on the show. And I hope that I've made you a little bit ease. Now you and Kini. And Kini, your hair's looking good. Yeah,
Thank
I used
you.
to cut I quit my hair profession.
Oh.
Now we're going to bring on our last, but not the least, Savitha.
Hi.
Hi, Savitha. How are
Hi.
you?
I'm good. Thanks to you and thanks to Wench Films.
Are, thank you so much. So, Savitha, I mean, there is a lot I can say about you too and your fabulous career being a sound designer. And also, congratulations, your new film just released, Ruhi.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that journey?
I started my first film in 2012. Barfi was my first film, and I was working as a sound editor in that film. And with Stree, you may heard about the film. So with that film, I became an independent sound designer, and after that, I did Chhichhore, Bala, and India's Most Wanted, and now Ruhi. So I came to do my PhD in Mumbai in applied geography. So I was doing my research. Then I wanted a change in my career because I wanted more freedom, and I didn't want to work in some format. So somehow I came into this field.
Yeah,
I'm
I
very
know. I
happy
saw
about it.
that because from geography to sound design, I was like,
Yes.
that is really fascinating. The whole history. So I'm gonna go through by asking everyone, and feel free to cut me off. But the whole difference between sound and music, and what they bring to the table, and what that means to you. So let's start with Savitha, shall we? What does sound mean to you, and how did you, get into this journey?
Actually, sound for me is like in a movie. Every space, time, and character requires some set of mood. So our job is to create that soundscape to give that particular mood, and that's what sound for me. It's like adding emotion and narrating the story through sound.
Right. And why sound? Why did you get into it? Like geography to sound, how?
Actually, for me, I felt sound is like something like writing a poem. So I like to write poems. So I thought this is something similar to that. And I'm like my first memory in my life is also about sound. The first memory of my life is the sound of rain. So its sound is very connected to my life. So and
What
that's
was
one of the
that
reasons.
sound? What was
Rain,
that
rain,
sound?
rain. The
Rain.
sound of rain. Yeah.
Oh,
So
fabulous.
yeah, and so that's the and actually I was not I when I thought of doing something creative after ditching my PhD. So I thought of this in film industry because we can do things creative things here, but I'm not a crowd person, so I can't be on the set. So I thought it's better I can be in the post. So this is like a comfort zone plus creative space as well. So that's why I choose sound.
Fabulous. That's fabulous. Okay, let's go to you, Samyuktha. You want to tell us what music means to you, and also if you can tell us the difference between what Savitha does as sound and what you do as music, so we can also understand where there is a difference, but how they work together.
Okay. So in terms of music, like if you look at it, I mean, I honestly, from my perspective, it's pretty much it has the same purpose. Like it's all about enhancing the visuals on screen, or it's all about invoking a certain emotion. So music and sound design, for that matter, both play a similar role, although they are completely different. In terms of music, we use instruments, we use like melodies, like really strong melodies to support a particular visual. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the basis of it. Like, you know, it's all audio based, but you know, we're using different mediums or different instruments, whether it's a sound design, whether it's a sound effect, or we're using an instrument, an actual instrument, to create a certain mood, to create a certain emotion, to highlight a certain dialogue or highlight a certain action scene or something of that sort, whatever is happening visually. So
Sure. Do you want to tell us also why did you pick music and how did you get into it?
So I was always into music. As a child, I would actually listen to scores, and like even before the movie had released, I would listen to a score before I'd actually watched the movie. So I was like really interested in background scores to begin with, and movies, like, you know, in general, films. So I started off by getting into sound design first, and I got a degree in audio, and I worked as an assistant audio engineer with Pradeep Sarkar for almost 3-4 years. Then I worked on his movie as well, and somewhere along the way, Dada actually picked one of my pieces to place in his movie. So that was a huge turning point for me. And I think at that point, like, you know, everyone around me were like, you know, they were like, okay, this is what you really should be doing. You should be getting into music. And it's a huge thing. I mean, so that's when I changed gears. I got into music production. I assisted composers. I learned to play an instrument. I learned music theory, and that's how I got into music production.
Fabulous, fabulous. Kini, it's your turn, Kini. I think that if you could tell us a little bit of how at first, I know this information about you, so I will say how you started off as DJing, but then you knew you want to take it a step beyond and not just play and mix other people's music, but then start creating your own. So if you want to tell us a little bit about how that journey came to be and why DJ, and from being a DJ to becoming a music producer, that journey.
Okay, so honestly, to be very, very honest, I just got into DJing out of boredom. I was a banker before I became a DJ. I don't know if you know that. Anyway, so I don't really have a story to tell, like one day inspiration struck. I used to always collect music. Of course, music was a big part of my life. I used to listen to music, and I was overseas. I was studying in Melbourne. I was doing a finance degree, and I used to go out pretty much every weekend got exposed to a lot of good music over there, club culture, etc. And it started off by me making tiny little. So my housemate got a pair of decks at home, and he used to be messing around with it. And so then it became this thing where we would come back home quickly after university and just start messing around. Used to train wreck all over the place, and then accidentally a couple of mixes would fall right, and then every weekend I would take a little mixtape, go home, and then one day I just decided to quit my job and sort of move back to India and start DJing, I guess. And then production along the way. I generally like software quite a bit, so I just like learning different softwares. So it just kind of just starts on from there, and I just do it because I like to create, I guess.
Yeah, this I am proof of, witness to, with Kini's obsession with software. She can just pick up anything, open it up, dismantle it, and then figure it out. She's like, Sapna, what do you want to do in your film? I could do everything. I could do your sound, I could do your edit, I could do your grade, I could do. I'm like, wow. She's
You're
like,
making
I
me
can
blush.
and then you can just, we can just do everything together. So I think that's really fabulous that, you are, and somewhere I get it from you, because after watching you, I kind of got into Premiere Pro myself and started
Nice.
tweaking around. Yeah. So now I'm editing my own film. Yeah. So that's because of you, Kini. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're making me blush a bit.
So now after this, we go to Samira ji. Hi, Samira. How are you?
Lose the tea.
I'm just kidding. I feel like if you can tell us a little bit about, obviously we know you have such a fabulous voice, and what made you kind of get into composing, but at the same time keeping your voice alive. And is that difficult to keep both of them going, or do you have a preference, one over the other? If you want to tell us about that a little bit.
So I think I started composing and singing almost at the same time, because I think it is seamless for me. It's a process, and I just feel when I started off in the industry, people didn't take me very seriously. I don't know whether it has anything to do with being a woman or even otherwise. I used to just feel like, that I used to feel maybe I'm too young. I don't know what it was, but initially I used to feel very disoriented, and I think when my work started releasing gradually, and I sort of realized that people very gradually started respecting me. I started making a space for myself, and the music composer hat and singer hat, I try and play the roles independent of each other, because sometimes I sing for other composers, sometimes I am composing, and it's you're directing the music in the context of a film or even a non-film song. So it is quite a challenge, but I really enjoy it. I think it's a beautiful playground. It's a canvas, a blank canvas where one can just create your own sonic colors, and it's just beautiful. I'm enjoying the journey.
Yeah, fabulous. And we're enjoying you to watch you in your journey. Yeah. So thanks for taking us on that journey. And with this, we come to Miss Bishi. Hello, Bishi. So you, my fellow witch, sorry if I call you witch all the time, but you're free to call me Wench. It's in my title. I am Chief Wench. But I think that you are also so multifaceted, like everyone here, actually, everyone here dabbles in this, but all together, they just bring themselves to the table. So if you want to kind of tell us a little bit about your musical journey, and also the fact that because you're the only one here that is not from this country, and you looking in, and the influences and the problems that we have here, are you facing the same problems there? If you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So my mum is a very respected singer in the Tagore tradition. So I was brought up with Rabindra Sangeet, and I had some Hindustani classical voice training. I was also trained as a pianist, and then when I was in my teens, I picked up the bass guitar. Then I got into analog synths. I did a little bit of music production. Like in my high school, I did a music production course. I started DJing when I was 17, and I actually wound up going to art college at the same time that I was coming to Delhi to study the sitar. And, my piano teacher wanted me to go to a conservatoire. My sitar guru wanted me to become a virtuoso player. Every discipline wanted me to take that on in its virtuosic form. But as someone who's caught in between two cultures, I wanted to make something which was reflective of everything that I was going through. And it sounds very aspirational, and of course it is incredible of being in the middle of it. But for much of my life, I have been told that that's a massive problem. It's only really been in the last years with the rise of movements like Black Lives Matter, where we're looking at people of color, certainly in the West, like people of color, like people from different ethnicities, are being given a kind of value and a status that I've never really experienced in my career. And, the UK is brilliant. I love being in London, but the structural bias in the music industry is embarrassing, and quite a lot of my work, quite a lot of what I have to do is to sort of state like my career is almost a result of the structural bias that I've faced, and then how I've shaped the opportunities in my life to do something totally different. So that's me in a nutshell.
Well, that's amazing. And it's great to see you chug along like this. It's amazing. I want to throw a question out to everyone, and let's see how this goes. But dream projects, I think that all of us have a dream project. We think big, and sometimes we're always like, wow, I wish I did that. And wow, I wish I could do that. And I'm a big believer that if you set it free and if you ask for it, it does happen. So I would love to actually, find out and talk to you guys about your dream project and what would you really love to work on? What is that one thing? So who wants to go first? Who wants to go? Should I pick or you want to go? Kini, you go first. Come on.
Like anything?
Like anything, your dream project. Like what would you, if it's with anyone, anything, what would you love to do?
I would like to actually work with Alexander Desplat, maybe I think he's a fabulous producer. And that would be something.
That would be your dream? Okay, hopefully he's listening to this and that's gonna happen. Okay, Samira, Apollo, you say, what's your dream?
Okay, so I have more than I think around 150 songs, and I feel a song is a medium almost like you're telling a story. So my dream project would be possibly all different emotions captured in different types of songs, which become part of a film or a project where I can take along new talent with me. That would be a beautiful dream project, and be able to create something really, a beautiful film with beautiful songs, and also take new talent along. I think that would be an amazing dream project for me.
Yeah, that does sound really amazing to have different emotions in the same project, like a chapter almost, like for each emotion. How cool would that be? Like a web series of emotions. I mean, the way I see it, that would be it. Maybe I would love to direct that. I don't know. So, Savitha, back to you. What would be your dream project? What would you really love to work on?
Actually, I work on the dreams of the directors comes to me. So I want to make the directors' dreams to happen in a very wonderful way. That's what my dream is.
Okay. So wait, what do you mean? You want to make your director dream? Is that what you just said?
Yes, I just want to. It's actually I'm working on other people's dream. Like years of years, the directors are for the story pitching that these producers coming on the board. It's like years of dream. So I just want to do my best to make it happen in a wonderful way.
Oh, that's so kind. So your dream is just to make their dream come true.
It's very satisfactory. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I think that's really amazing. Samyuktha, what about you?
Wow, it's really difficult to pinpoint it to one small thing, but yeah, like I think I've kind of related to both Savitha and Kini in this. Definitely to work with a well-known, renowned composer like somebody like Alexander Desplat would be like amazing. But yeah, like I think one of the people that I've really looked up to has been A.R. Rahman. So yeah, like maybe working for someone like Rahman would be a huge deal, and that's something. It might just happen. Like
Maybe we can make that happen, Mr. Rahman. We're going to send you this video and maybe you can do something about it. Bishi, what about you?
Well, it's a few things, but it falls under kind of one umbrella. So I'd love to actually score a film. I'd love to do that. And my last single was produced by Tony Visconti, who's David Bowie's producer. So I'd love to make more work with him, which I think all of this will come true. But I think it's important to just state it out there. So, yeah.
I mean, I think my dream, because I dream all the time, not just because my name means dream, but I just dream all the time. And I'm like sitting here and I'm just listening to all you girls and I'm wondering how amazing would it be if we all came together and we actually created something together. And I think that to me is like, I love collaborations and I love reaching out and collaborating with people you never know, you never heard of, because sometimes strangers bring such amazing things to the table that when you expect, like, if it's like someone big, sure, fair enough, they have big work, you're aware of their work and everything will happen in that way. But when some stranger just comes and just throws something at you and you're like in this shock, like, oh my God, yeah, I like that. And I'm surprised by that. To me, that is really fascinating. So I hope one day, this is my dream, all of us get into a room, virtual, it doesn't have to be physical, and we just throw things at each other and maybe we can create something. I mean, and I think that this is a dream that can happen. It's very possible. So it might just happen. So enough of my dream. I want to now talk about processes. What I mean is that everyone has a process, right? That you follow, kind of thought pattern before you work. How do you work? So it's very fascinating to see, like, some people are superstitious, some people follow a very particular way, some people don't like to see a dog when they're working because a dog means bad luck. I'm just throwing things at you, yeah, some weird things. Some people don't like to cross the road. There are like these weird things that, I mean, the people that I've talked to and the superstitions in their processes have been very fascinating to me. So do any of you have superstitions like that? Do you go to a temple? Do you follow a certain thing before you start a new project? A thought process? Talk to that one good luck charm. I would love to know what that is. Who wants to go first? Should I pick again? Savitha, come on, we pick you.
I'm not superstitious. I pray for all the projects I do. That's it.
That's it. What do? Do you have a thought process when someone brings a film to you, right? So say your last project, Ruhi. Let's just talk about that, okay? When that film came to you for sound design, what was the process that you kind of followed to kind of get into the film? Is there something that you follow? Not just superstition. I'm just talking about a process in general.
Yeah, actually, Ruhi, actually, it was like very connected to me in a way, because most of the film, what you have to show is the fear of the characters. So I'm very scared to be in a place alone or to from one room to another room in the night. I really struggle to move. So I'm that kind of a person. So I could easily create the sound which can make people scared. So that was.
Were you getting scared of your own sounds? That would be hilarious.
Yeah, of course. I asked my husband to sit behind. When I'm working, I'll always ask my husband to sit behind me. Otherwise, I'm so scared, especially when I'm doing horror films.
Well, that's wonderful to know that you've just sound designed an entire film and that you're petrified of these sounds. I can't wait to. I wish you had shown us a clip or something of this film so we could figure out what kind of sounds you've been playing over there. But I'm sure we'll find the promo and get into that. What about you, Bishi? Is there a process? Is there something that you follow before any show or anything project that you do?
I don't have any specific rituals, but I think maintaining my belief and maintaining a good relationship with myself. So I live near a really beautiful Victorian English cemetery called Bronson Cemetery, and it's historic. It's absolutely ornate and beautiful. So regular walks in the cemetery. I go running. I go to physio. Everything from the smells around me to the food I make for myself. I really, I'm so into the process of making. I bring creativity into everything, and just maintaining a really good relationship with myself, because your relationship to yourself then translates into everything, into everyone around you, and people just want to gravitate to that. So I think, I learned about Mexican surrealists, like female surrealist painters from Mexico, and they were a bit witchy. Like everything was a ritual, from making a cup of tea to drinking a glass of red wine. And I don't think that I'm that specific, but I definitely recognize that need to just put something beautiful and creative into everything.
Fabulous. Samira, do you have a ritual? Do you follow? Is there a method when you're given a project? Is there something that you do, like your checklist that you have to do before every project that you get? Can you hear me, Samira? Hello. You can hear me? Hold on. I think Samira's audio is a little off.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
You can hear me now? Now? Yeah. You want to talk about your rituals when you're given a new project? Is there something that you do that is special? Share.
Absolutely. So what I enjoy doing is my process is very organic. I believe that I love collaboration, and I draw a lot of inspiration and strength from the people I work with. So if it's my lyricist or my musicians, we sit and jam together. I enjoy the process of sitting together, jamming. Maybe someone comes up with a guitar riff. We all sit together and create, and I enjoy that. Sometimes I also, when I'm doing my riyaz, when I'm just with the tanpura, I just try and get lost. And because I feel there's so much sonic clutter around us, there's noise. So to try and get away from that, sometimes I go to nature. In the area where Sapna also has a place, the 𝐓𝐚𝐧𝐝 is such a beautiful place where one can just get lost in nature, and then you start seeing, visualizing sound and music and the words. I think it all starts flowing. So my process is very organic. And in terms of a project, I try to understand the vision of the director, if it's a film, or the creative, the producers, the director. And I think it's very important for me to create something which is in sync with that vision. So that's the way I sort of go about my creating music. That's my process.
Well, we'll go to 𝐓𝐚𝐧𝐝 together, you and I. My process is I like to headbang. And I start every morning and I put on really loud music, and then I hang upside down, and then I just headbang. I start my day every day like this, and my cat think I'm like one stupid moron, but they're cats. What do I care? Kini, what about you?
Oh,
come on. What's your process?
So I don't have any rituals or anything, but I can definitely speak about some of the technical processes that I kind of have to sort of do. like with my the last track, in fact, the clip that was played. So most of the drums and the bass line and all the elements were created via MIDI sampling. Everything was in MIDI, and I don't sort of quantize my drums anymore because I find that quantizing it and it's those little imperfections kind of make a track sound more sort of organic. And so all the elements in that track were via MIDI sampling except the hook line. So for that, I recorded this jazz pianist, and I made a very conscious effort to sort of record her with no effects whatsoever on her piano. Because I wanted to add those effects later in the mixdown, and I wanted to sort of add very minimal effects to it to retain the live element in the track, So that's why it kind of sounds a little off, but intentionally off, not like, unintentionally. So that was what I was going for. And I think the plugin that I used for it is this reverb called 𝐓𝐴LTiverb. I really like that. It's my go-to reverb for pretty much most music.
You're giving all your trade secrets out, Kini.
It's not trade secrets. It's what you do with it, right? So
that's right. What about you, Samyuktha? You want to tell us a little bit about your secret, your methods? Are you superstitious?
I don't think I'm superstitious in any way, but I generally try and start the day in a very positive way. I think in terms of projects, like whenever I get an ad to do, so my first thing would be to like speak to the director first. Like, I watch the film, I talk to the director, and I try to keep things as light and positive as possible. And the minute I put down the phone, I'm like, you know what? I'm so grateful that I've got this. And I'm so grateful that I'm going to work on this. So that kind of puts me in a very positive mood altogether. And then I just open a new session, load it up, listen to a few songs maybe, and then just get into that groove and then just start my day.
Amazing. So with that groove, I would love to ask everyone, what does sexy mean to you? I think that's very important, because when someone says, I want a sexy song, or I want a sexy sound, and I know that the female gaze to that and the male gaze to that is got to be so different, yeah? So I would just really love, that word sexy, it's so different for so many people. So what does sexy mean to you? Savitha, I'm going to start with you, because when it comes to, if I tell you, I want a really sexy sound here, what kind of sound would you play, and what does that mean to you?
I think you should better start with someone else, then I will think of her answer.
I think she got shy just thinking of that word.
No, I'm not shy. Because it's the first time I'm hearing this question. It's very new to me. So give me some time to think.
Okay, fine. We'll come back to you. So imagine I'm the director, and I'm telling you, Savitha, for this scene, I want a sound that indicates sexy. So what would that sound be? So you think about that. In the meantime, let's put Kini on the spot and see what sound would she think is sexy.
In electronic music, which is what I mostly listen to, sexy would be something which is funky, soulful, organic, timeless, not too much of breakdowns, etc., repetitive. A lot of grooves can be sexy, So I think for me, something which is very funky and sort of repetitive, in the sense that I find that very sexy, because if a producer makes a 9-minute, say, techno track with pretty much one loop, right? And if that loop is on for 9 minutes, that shows the confidence of a producer, to be able to keep a loop on for 9 minutes, because he knows he's going to make people dance for that long, And for me, that shows confidence, and I find that kind of music very sexy. So funky and confidence, sexy.
Okay. Well, this is fabulous. I'm liking that because that is what you think is sexy. But if I asked you to play me a sexy set,
Oh,
what would you play? That's what I'm asking.
well, maybe Blondie, some really fun disco. That's sexy. Yeah,
Okay.
well, even yeah, Blondie. I would say at the top of my head, Gina X, no GDM. That's sexy. That is sexy.
Okay, fabulous. That's fabulous to know. Okay, Samira, if I tell you, in my film, I want a sexy song. What would be that for you? If you want to hum it out,
Yeah,
that's
so
also
sexy. I mean, it's creating a mood. I think it's about creating a mood. It can be sensuous. It can be quirky. It can be. I mean, there are different interpretations of sexy as well. But yeah, I mean, ironically, my first song as a playback singer, I was told that your voice is very sexy. And a lot of people came up to me and said, "Oh, you know what? We turned on that song and it brought on the mood." So it's called Aaj Phir Tum Pe Pyar Aaya. It was like a remake, but yeah, so even a voice can be sexy, and I think the lyric, it can have a quirk, or it can be the beat or a bass line. I find the bass a very sexy instrument, to be honest. It can just be the spine of a song. So yeah, I think it's just about creating the mood, and in different ways one can create that kind of moods.
You said bass. You had me at bass. My DJ name used to be Bombass. And in India, people didn't know how to pronounce it. So it became Bombas because bass was pronounced as bass. So I became DJ Bombas in India. And I think I like that even better than Bombass. It's fine. So yeah, Bishi, what's sexy to you?
Well, I would firstly want to know a bit more about the scene. So is it very slow, or is there something that's very fast paced, or is it sort of rough, or like what kind of sex are we dealing with here? But sexy music to me, and you've got to say Prince is really like Diamonds and Pearls by Prince. That is a sexy as hell song. Also Serge Gainsbourg, Je t'aime, that's another classic. It's this Jane Birkin moaning orgasmically. I mean, it's those are just two songs, but strangely, the jazz pianist Bill Evans, his music from the 60s, it's very sensual and very slow, and it's like, oh, okay. So I find that, but I think there's something about the sensuousness of the music, but the sensuousness of the groove, But let's say if you're thinking about a film like, I don't know, like Gaspar Noé's Climax, like that's a very sensuous film, and there's kind of pumping techno, but to underpin the kind of insanity of the dancers and the actors, and you're kind of like, that they're on the edge of some kind of a precipice. So I think sexy techno, like, you can find that in Gaspar Noé's films. But yeah, Diamonds and Pearls. You're like, what is a sexy song? Diamonds and Pearls by Prince.
Okay, fabulous. Samyuktha, are you ready to answer this question?
Savitha.
Yes. So yeah, sexy in terms of music, I think is mostly genre based. I think funk music is extremely sexy. I feel R&B is extremely sexy. The new Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars song was extremely sexy. Like, it's everything to do with their voice. It's to do with the bass lines. It's to do with the groove. There's so many ways of interpreting it. But also, I mean, for me, in terms of a technical way, I also find getting a kind of a tone or getting a kind of vocal texture, I find that sexy. I mean, it's like, getting a kind of tone for your bass line is like, the minute you crack it and then someone just walks in and they're like, damn, this is like really, really good. This is sexy. Like, so there's a lot of interpretations of it. But yeah, ideally, I think in terms of genres, it's probably like funk music or R&B. So yeah.
So if you were given an ad and you had to kind of create something, the mood sexy, you would definitely go the funk route. You think?
I think
R&B?
it would depend on the kind of ad. It would, like, if it was something fast paced, then yeah, probably funk. Again, it probably depends a lot more on the kind of music that the director is looking at.
Okay.
If it was something, we could also go with like something really slow, like a halftime beat, and
Yeah.
you never know. You could probably just use like a trumpet or like just a bass line to get the whole thing done.
Yeah.
Or just like random vocal sounds. So there are a lot of ways of actually doing something like
So
that.
bass is trumping at the moment, and
Bass,
some
yeah.
funk. And Savitha, should I ask you that question now?
Yes, of course. Actually, for me, music is something the audience hears, and sound is something the character hears. And mostly, sound is the subconscious element for the audience. And I like to keep that at times for the character also a subconscious element. For example, if you take a railway station scene and it's very emotional scene, there can be a lot of sounds like the vendors, the horn, and passengers and train passing. And if it is an emotional scene and you just keep one very close train passing with very low rumble, that is for me kind of sexy,
Yeah,
like
I
giving
can
an
see how
impact.
that is sexy. Yeah. See, the last one comes up with the real sexy. That's a good one. That's a really good one. We don't have too much time left on our chat, but before we go, I definitely want to ask everyone the way forward. What are your future plans? What are you working on? What do you want to work on? So that would be really amazing. Bishi, why don't you start, and then we'll just go all the way down from you.
Yeah, sure. Well, I have fortunately, an incredibly busy year coming up. I co-produced an album that's going to be coming out. I have an electric sitar soundtrack out on Lander, the first ever sitar soundtrack. So I'm going to be working on that. I'm working with the VR company called Volta. I'm also going to be performing at 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐒𝐿's Reflector Festival, which we think is coming back at the end of the year. And we've also won a commission for something called Coventry City of Culture. In the UK, every year they pick a city, and that's the City of Culture, and they commission a whole bunch of work. So I won one of the bids on that, and I think that's pretty much everything that I'm allowed to speak about. But yeah, I mean, the film world is calling me because I have an understanding of Western classical music and Hindustani classical music, and I have all of this knowledge of electronic music. So I'm getting some really interesting discussions opening up in the film world here in the West. But I'm always up for collaborating with South Asian composers and artists. Like, I wanted to, although I'm not in a physical room, but I wanted to be in a room with people who are contemporaries and who are really impressive and hugely accomplished. So thank you for sharing this space with me.
Oh, fabulous. Samira, do you want to share way forward? What are you working on? Future plans?
Who did you ask? Sorry.
You, Samira. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I mean, I feel very grateful that I did my first feature film album almost a year back, which was a film called Laal, Kaptaan, and I did all the songs for it. And I'm looking forward to doing that. Also doing scores. Because of the pandemic, there's a lot of OTT content which I think people have been inquiring about. So I think that's another space I'm getting into. I'm planning to score web series and do independent films, and I think it's a beautiful time because there's so many different content creators. So for us as musicians, we get to explore so many different aspects of music. Musically express so many different kinds of emotions. So I just think it's a beautiful time. And I would just love to express myself more and be able to create more in that context going forward. And also, as an independent artist, I'm releasing singles, so I want to do more of that because I think that is an extension of who we are, what we want to say personally, as our ideology, what we feel about life. I think that is also so important. So that is apart from creating music for other people. I think that's also very important to me. So I want to do more of that as well.
Fabulous, fabulous.
Thanks for having me.
You?
As
Thank you. Kini, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah. You want to tell us your way forward, future plans?
Sure. Just gonna write a couple of EPs this year, and hopefully soon get back to playing gigs as well. Yeah, this pandemic has given me the sort of time and space in a way to learn things and sort of take a step back from DJing and sort of explore more in production and the mixed media front as well. So yeah, and I of course miss playing gigs. That's been a little difficult. However, there's a lot of positive things also that came out of it. So I'm just going to keep creating and see what happens.
Okay, fabulous. Samyuktha?
So I've been getting a lot more into electronic music right now. So I was really into orchestral stuff, but now I'm getting exploring analog synthesizers and digital synthesizers. So I'm slowly changing the entire the kind of genre that I work with. I'm switching to electronics, so I'm looking to kind of collaborate with a lot more people, trying to get into the indie scene as well. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So,
yeah.
And yeah, of course, I would love to score a film. I would love to score a web series. I mean, that's always going to be there. That's always going to be my main focus. But right now, yeah, it's all about trying new things and and electronic music is kind of a new thing for me. So that's something that I'm going to be concentrating on for a while now.
Fabulous. Savitha, you?
I'm currently working on a film called Shiddat, directed by Kunal Deshmukh and starring Radhika Madan and Vicky Kaushal. Vicky Kaushal's brother, Sunny Kaushal. And my next project is a Malayalam film directed by 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐒𝐿. And the interesting thing about this film is it's all women technicians in the film. It's like only women.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous, fabulous. Actually, yeah, have many of you worked with women directors? I know, Bishi, you have not worked it. You're not really composing for ads or film. But Samira, have you worked with the woman director yet?
I've worked with Ashwini Iyer Tiwari on Bareilly ki Barfi. So I worked.
Right.
Was the song Bairagi, which I sang for you all. That was for that.
Right. Fabulous. And Samyuktha, have you worked?
Yes, a lot of them.
Really, in the ad zone?
In ads, yeah. There are a lot. I think last week I just did 2 ads with 2 different female directors. So yeah,
that's fabulous. This is really good. This is really good to hear. And Savitha, you're working now with a woman director, yeah?
Yeah, I worked with in the past as well. Actually, recently, in 2 days back, one of my short film got a international best short film award in Dublin. And the director is a woman, and she only worked with her crew is only LGBT community and women, and she got an award 2 days back.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, fabulous. I can't think of a better way to end this conversation by seeing so many of us have worked with women directors, and so many of us are gonna work with women directors. I think this is really, really fabulous, and also really good to know that our tribe is increasing. Not that it was never increasing, but we're just out there more. I think that's the right term to kind of use. And I really hope that in the future, a lot more of us come together on platforms like this. Learn to collaborate with each other and cross borders, and not just UK, India, but I think worldwide. I think that women worldwide have a certain perspective and a certain gaze, and I think working with each other, we could just just create magic, So that is the goal of this festival, and hopefully next year we kind of reach out to many more women. So with that, I really thank each and every one of you for your time and your patience and your grace. And I really hope all the dreams that you said here, they all come true. So thank you so much for joining Wench Film Festival and this Sound of Music panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.